Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and hi if you're new here, I'm Jade, and I thought it should be time to do the TBR jar. This is honestly my favourite video to film. I love doing them every month because I just love seeing what I'm going to get. Like, I love a lucky dip, okay? It doesn't matter what area of my life, I was that kid that always fell for those lucky bags with random, quite honestly, trash in it. But I love them because I just love mysteries and I love those little mystery boxes where you don't know what you're going to get in there. So this is the equivalent in the book world, in my opinion, when I'm choosing my TBR. My books have got a little bit messed up behind me since I organised them because I've got some that I have just read because I haven't got to quite the end of the month yet, obviously, and I've still got my wrap up and stuff to do before I sort of start putting things away. So the ones I have just read are sort of piled in here, but I know that I'm obviously not going to pick from them, and I have to remember that I still have all my thrillers and stuff in my cupboard, so I won't forget them as we do it. But anyway, shall we pick the first prompt? Because, as I said, I love doing this so much. A green one. I don't know why I always close my eyes, but I do because, I don't know, it just makes it more exciting, but it's like, I can't read them anyway. Oh, a book that scares you. Scares me. I mean, I guess I'm going straight for my thrillers here. I guess the concept needs to kind of scare me, I suppose. Let me have a look. Hang on. Or it could be that I just find the book intimidating and it scares me, like the thought of reading it scares me. I suppose that works as well, right? Let me have a look around, see what I can come up with. So honestly, I just think scares you is such an open-ended thing. And I do think I have a prompt in there that says, like, you feel intimidated by that book. So I've picked three books that I guess you could say scare me in different definitions of scare me. So these are our three options. First off, I picked out a thriller because that kind of makes sense to me with scares me in terms of the genre. I did just go for the one that I'm, in the middle of a series and want to finish it because I have so many different, thrillers, and I can't just say by reading blurbs, oh, I think that's going to scare me. I'm not usually like overly scared by a thriller. I'm usually more intrigued, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, so I picked The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden as a kind of thriller. So there is one on the list that I will consider. Obviously, I can't talk about the plot. I don't want to read anything because if you haven't read the beginning of the series, that would spoil everything for you. But in case you haven't read the book or seen the movie, it is about a girl that gets a job as a nanny in a house, and the woman of the house is a little bit crazy, makes her life hard, and there's a lot of drama that ensues. And honestly, I feel it's one of those books I say too much about and it just spoils it. Go watch the movie, read the book, do something. I love it. So the second book I have picked out as an option is The Ministry of Time by Kayleen Bradley. Sorry if the camera's moved a little bit. There was just a knock at the door, and I used my phone to check the Ring doorbell, and it was a sales thing, so didn't want to answer it, but it might have moved. And it's also made me lose my train of thought where I was. So I'm just going to start again with explaining my second book. So my second book choice is The Ministry of Time by Kayleen Bradley. I've chosen this because I guess if I was to pick something that intimidates me, it's something that is in a genre I don't read as regularly. I think that's the most intimidating thing for me. This is, I believe, a bit more of that sort of sci-fi genre. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this book. Some people seem to love it, some people seem to hate it. And I honestly just don't know for me because I just haven't read enough in that realm. But the premise of it really intrigued me, which is why I bought it. But essentially, it's about a woman who is offered a sort of top secret job working as they try to unlock time travel, which I think is a really cool concept. So, yeah, that's why I picked it up. I just thought it sounded really interesting, but it does intimidate me because I am worried that I just won't end up liking it and that I would have branched out a little bit. And so, yeah, that has to scare me. It has to scare me just reading something different. So that's why I included this one as a choice. And the third one is Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. You might wonder why I chose this one. But in case you ever missed me explaining, I put this on my TBR as a reread. I first read this when it first came out. This is such an old edition of the book, old British edition of when it first came out. I think it's like pretty much the original paperback that was released. I loved the whole concept of it at the time, picked it up, but I ended up not really enjoying the book. But two things since then, because this was quite a few years ago. Number one, I read it when I was at university. I was very, very burnt out having to read 4 books a week of things that I wouldn't generally pick up. And honestly, I think I kind of lost my love for reading by the time this released. So even though I did pick it up, I don't think my heart was there at all. And it kind of just felt like a task having to read because, I already had all these other books I had to read. So I don't feel like I could just get in and enjoy this like I should have been able to. Even though I've always read a bit of that sort of like fantasy, sort of weird realm, I loved Twilight growing up and everything. I feel like I read even more of that stuff now. And I just feel like it really aligns. Like, I feel like I'm going to like it this time. I didn't hate it the first time. And I also don't remember it that well because, as I said, it was years ago. So I put it on there as a reread because I just feel like I will really enjoy this now. And I think it's a shame that I didn't the first time. But it scares me that I would reread this and still not like it. I feel like they will have valid reasons to be picked under this. But honestly, if I think of what one truly scares me the most, it probably has to be The Ministry of Time. If you've read it, let me know what you thought on it. And if you've read either of the other 2 books, let me know why I should be reading them soon, if you think I should. Because this was a tough decision. Because, as I said, most things on my TBR I really want to read. I have some that I have a slight higher preference to read earlier than others. But generally, obviously I bought all the books for a reason. I really want to read them. So, yeah, let me know. But let's pick number 2. And this one says, has a name in the title. I mean, I must have several that have a name in the title. I just can't think off the top of my head. As you can imagine, there are quite a few options. So I literally just picked out the first 3 I saw. Literally, that's how I done it, just so that we're not here all day going through every single option, because we would be here a long time. So the first one I spotted was Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. So obviously Finlay Donovan is her name. This is a sort of murder mystery crime series, I guess. It's a bit humorous. It's not like a serious dark crime series, I guess. This is the 3rd book in the series, so I have already read the first 2, but just to give you a summary, in the first one, Finlay Donovan is just a struggling single mother who can barely pay her bills. She gets mistaken for being a contract killer. Someone hires her and she ends up sort of just going along with it and then ending up, turning it into a bit of a thing. And so, yeah, this is book 3. So that would be continuing a series as well, which is never a bad thing. The next one that stood out to me instantly is Jade City by Fonda Lee. So this is the start of a fantasy series. Of course, this stood out to me because it's my name. And I've heard such good things about this series. I have really been wanting to pick it up and start it, but I just have so many books that I feel like that with. I never really know when I'm going to get to each one. So I don't fully know a lot about this, but what I believe it is about is 2 clans sort of vying for power, and they use jade as their magic, which is kind of cool. And then the final one I reached for is You've Reached Sam. I seem to get this come up a lot in prompts where I almost reach for it and read it, but I don't. But essentially, this is about a girl who has her life planned out with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend sadly dies, and I think she kind of, listens to voicemails and things and brings back a lot of memories from him. And this is sort of about navigating grief, I think. So it sounds like a really kind of nice, different concept for a book, I've got to say. But which one to go for? I always find this so hard to choose because, as I said, I always want to read all of them for some reason or another. And it's just I just kind of have to go with whatever I think either might make my life a bit easier if I need that in a month, or where my heart truly lies of which one I want to read the most, I suppose. But you know what? We're going to go for Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. 2 reasons. I can continue a series. Second reason, I've actually just ordered the 4th and 5th books of this, so if I move through this one, there's more space for them. So, the next one of the series could take the next series space. And yeah, so I feel like it's good to keep moving through this series before I dive into another big one like Jade City. So yeah, and You've Reached Sam. I do really want to read it. Maybe I'll add that to the month's TBR anyway, because I feel bad I don't always pick it. But yeah, I just feel like this is a good fun one, and I could do with a bit of a sort of humorous murder mystery thing going on, to be honest. Okay, it is time for the third and final prompt. I guess we'll see what we get. In case you're new here, the reason I only pick 3, because you're probably thinking most people do 5, is because I have 2 in-person book clubs I go to, as well as an online one I try and follow. So that's already 3 other books dictated for my month. So with this, it makes it 6, which I feel is like manageable to kind of put them as like set reads. But I always want a little bit of room to mood read, you know, so that's why. But let's see what we get. A purple prompt has sprayed edges. We're going to have a few to choose from here, actually. I can think of some straight away for sprayed edges because I've got a few that have joined me a bit more recently, but I've definitely got a few older ones as well. So let me have a look. I'll pick a few out at random and we can pick between them. As you can imagine, there were quite a few to pick from. But I was like, how am I going to decide what's going to help me pick here? So I decided to go for sprayed edges that actually have a picture. They can't just be a solid colour because I have a lot of solid colour ones. And actually, as soon as I did that, it really narrowed it down. So I just picked the 3 that were the easiest for me to get hold of. So our first option is 5 Broken Blades by May Corland. This is the beautiful sprayed edge on that one. I think it's a lovely picture. I'll be honest, I only bought this because it was on Book Outlet in their $5.99 fiction sale before Christmas. It is the start of a series and I managed to get book 1 and 2 in their sale before. And I've just heard good things about the series. What I believe it is about is that 5 strangers are summoned to try and kill a king, which is where the 5 broken blades come from. And I think they're supposed to kind of try and work together to do it, but at the end of the day, only one of them can sort of be crowned as like winning and killing the king. Sounds a bit of a bizarre concept, but like a really good, intriguing one, full of action, or at least it sounds like it should be. So yeah, very beautiful book, I think. So that's option 1 for sprayed edge. Next we have Dawn of the Firebird, which has this beautiful sprayed edge with these little birds going up along. Another one I think is very, very pretty. And I believe this is about a daughter who sort of ends up training for her father's army. I think her father's an emperor or something. And she ends up infiltrating the enemy's army, sort of like an undercover thing, I think. And I think when she's there, she then starts questioning her father on whether, you know, he's right on things. I often like these sort of books where someone infiltrates something and has a bit of that undercover thing going on within a fantasy. I usually really enjoy them. I actually just finished The Poet Empress, which will be in my monthly wrap up, and that has a bit of those vibes going on. Same with thinking like A Song to Drown Rivers. There's a little bit of that vibe. So I often do really enjoy books that have that vibe. So this is definitely one I'm excited to read at some point, if it's not now. And the third option is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. So it has like, you know, a little bookshelf as the sprayed edge, which I think is really cool actually. It has a lot of detail in it. It's probably the most detailed of the covers. They're all beautiful. But when I actually look at the level of detail in this sprayed edge, this has got to be like one of the most intricate. I don't know a lot about the plot of this one, but I think it's about 2 sort of rival scholars, and one is set out to try and like prove that the other one's favourite author is a fraud. So it's very book based, which I love. And I'm not sure if they're like sucked into another world or something. I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. Yeah, I haven't read into it too much. Sometimes I don't like to know my plots too much before I go into a book. But yeah, they're the 3 options I came up with if I'm picking like the more intricate looking sprayed edges. But you know what? I think I'm going to go with A Study in Drowning. There's something about it that makes me feel cozy. I think it's because it's got the whole book vibe going on. And I'm like, I'm moving out of, you know, cozy winter season now. So as we're moving into spring will be a great time to just start this before spring's really here, because I feel like mood wise, I'm not going to reach for this as quickly once it becomes like much hotter weather outside. And in Kansas, we do not get much of a winter. Like we literally go from like winter to summer. Like we don't get much of a spring, and the winter's short. So like I don't get that much time with what I call my more like cozy feel reads like I did in the UK. So yeah, I'm gonna go for this one because I feel like the other 2 I'm more likely to just randomly pick up, whereas I feel like this just fits what I'm wanting right now. So let's go for Study in Drowning. So that is all our choices from the TBR jar. Let me remind you. We first had Scares You, which I went for Ministry in Time. As I said, let me know if you've read this, what you think of it. If you're intrigued to see what I thought of it, obviously come back for my wrap up at the end of March. The second one, we had A Name in the Title, which I went for Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. And last we had Sprayed Edge, which we went for A Study in Drowning. I feel like this has given me a really good mix of books actually this month. This might be one of the most sort of effective months I've had in like very different choices of book actually. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And also, I'd say it's a slightly different choice of book actually for one of my book clubs next month. So it's going to be a really good range. So definitely come back and watch my wrap up for March. My other book club has not yet decided, and neither has the online one. So I'm not sure where we're going there. But yeah, overall, so far my TBR for March is looking to shape up really cool. But I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you again real soon. Bye!